Well, tonight's class is going to be kind of going over the same paradigms that we went over last week. The 5 paradigms of the bridging the gap. But we're going to talk about these and how they integrate into the gratitude through grief. So being able to carry the gratitude even though we are grieving and kind of feeling kind of stuck down, whatever, whatever your grief feels like, whatever emotions that brings up. We're going to kind of talk about that and how these paradigms trigger the nervous system within the grief and how to kind of sum it back up with all the gratitude and how that changes the perception of everything. So tonight's class, I named it Naming the Battlefield and the Body. But welcome in, everybody. I want to name something right away. If you're grieving, your nervous system has been working overtime. So if any type of grief that you're carrying right now, just know your nervous system has been in overload ever since the grief started. Grief is not emotional, it's biological. It hits the body before the mind ever catches up. In our brave thinking, it teaches that paradigms shape our reality. And neuroscience teaches that the nervous system decides whether we feel safe enough to change those paradigms. Today's work, we're going to sit at the intersection of both of those. So we're using gratitude not as a mindset hack, but as a regulation tool. So if you listen to Monday's class with Kitty, she was talking about how, that it's not the fake it till you make it kind of gratitude. It's the being, truly finding something grateful, that you can be grateful for and using that instead of faking it till you make it, think positive thoughts all the time, because we all know that's a little crap. That's not how it works. But this is also a way to gently tell the body, I'm not in danger right now. I know with these storms rolling in across the nation, I know I've been triggered. Like I mentioned before, we had an ice storm in 1994, so I know I'm triggered. I know my nervous system is triggered, and I keep telling myself we're not in the same circumstances that we were when this happened before. Therefore, this is out of my control. This is not by my own doing, my own choices. This is a national thing, But my nervous system's still you need to freak out. So I've been going through that recently on, telling myself that we are safe because it is not the same circumstances. This is the weather. It's not, something I can control. But nothing here requires you to feel better. Only ask that you feel a little safer inside yourself. That's what this whole class is about. It's not to make the grief heavier or negate the grief with the gratitude. This is just so you can kind of feel safer within yourself when you do get triggered and these things come up. So we're going to open class tonight by taking one deep breath. We're going to go longer on the exhale. All right, so let's begin. So first thing we're going to talk about is kind of the grief as a nervous system state. What kind of state that it puts us in. And a lot of this is going to talk about the grief of loss. Please interpret it on whatever grief that you are going through, because as we talk, in other classes, it's not just the losing someone that we, face. It could be losing someone and they're still here. Losing our prior self, having to grieve our prior self, and everything that comes along with that. So, a lot of this is going to talk about the loss portion, but please, 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 relate it into your own grief that you're dealing with. So when loss happens, the nervous system often gets stuck in survival modes. Fight, flight, or freeze, if I could talk. So fight comes up as anger, blame, agitation, which all of those kind of group into the disdain paradigm that we talked about last week. Flight is the overworkingness, the busyness, the numbing, which is just a distraction. We distract ourselves because we're overworking, distract ourselves from what's going on outside of work. We're keeping busy in the house because, we're fighting with somebody in the family or significant other or whatever. So just that kind of numbing, I'm not dealing with this kind of, distraction. Now, freeze is going to feel like the heaviness, the hopelessness, and just like overall shutdown. So this is going to be in the deficiency category for those. And just remember, these are not character flaws. They're protective responses that our nervous system has picked up that we're not safe in that moment. The problem isn't the grief, it's when the body never gets the signal that the danger has passed. So again, our protective responses come up, and then, the body, like it said earlier, the body has the trigger before the mind does. But yeah, the body never gets the signal like, hey, we're all right. So it's kind of our job to try to retrain that. Now, gratitude works here not because it's positive. Like I said, it's not the fake it till you make it. Think the positive thoughts all the time. It's not here because it's positive. It's here because it's orienting things. You're orienting that gratitude with something other than the grief. So it kind of gets you out of that spiral. It gently brings awareness back to what is still here. What is still supporting me. Okay? So with the paradigms and regulation. So we're going to basically connect the brave thinking paradigms to the nervous system at this point. So we talked about deficiency always living in the freeze mode when we're triggered, when our nervous system is triggered and dysregulated. Mm-hmm. It may sound like I am broken. Mm-hmm. I will never be whole again. An example of the disdain, which lives in the fight mode. It's going to say, if I stay busy, I won't feel this. I know for me, I use the distraction paradigm pretty often within my addiction. That's just what it was. It was, I don't want to feel this. Let's numb it. Ooh, this takes it away. We'll just keep doing this so we don't feel it. And then with these, gratitude does not argue with these states. It regulates them. So it's not saying because I lost this person, I'm grateful for. You know what I mean? It's to regulate that loss with what's still here. What is something I can still be grateful for here? By naming something steady, true, or even supportive, we help the nervous system shift from survival into presence, being in that present moment. Presence is where the paradigms change become possible. So like I said last week on the class, awareness is the exit. Even though if we fall back into that paradigm and you're like, dang it, I did it again. That's still our awareness. Because, I mean, it's not a one and done. Like, this is going to be a circular thing throughout time until you're no longer here. I mean, it's not a linear, one and done. Let's see. So first we're going to talk about sufficiency compared to sufficiency. So deficiency to sufficiency. So what I want you guys to do is to place one hand on your chest or your stomach, whatever feels grounding to you. And think of one deficiency thought your grief repeats. So some of these examples could be, I would never feel normal again. Everything safe is gone. Notice what happens in your body, or notice what happens when you start asking those, or not asking, but bringing up those statements within yourself. Notice what happens to your body. So on the sufficiency truth that your body can tolerate is not a stretch. So some examples of that one is, I am not okay, but I am breathing. Nothing ended and my body is still carrying me. So for that one, you may have some abandonment issues, some abandonment grief going on, triggers, whatever. And as you think about that, take one deep breath for me. And as you inhale, take a pause before you exhale. Now, the reason why I asked you to pause during that breath is because that pause is your regulation. That is one key component that you can use to start regulating your nervous system to bring you back into the present. Is whenever you start getting triggered or worked up or the grief comes in or anything like that, you can pause, take a deep breath. Before you exhale, take another pause. That brings you into the moment. That also helps regulate your nervous system, tell it that we are safe. Now, we also talked about DEFCON 1 last week. This is the conscious alertness and emergency mode all the time. This is not panic. This is emergency mode all the time. Grief throws us into DEFCON 1 automatically, without even thinking about it. So when grief strikes us, all these thoughts come racing in. DEFCON 1 is automatically put you in emergency mode with your nervous system. And without the regulation, it becomes overwhelm. Then overwhelm leads to the distraction or the disdain or the, it all kind of snowballs. But yeah, if we use the gratitude, it brings that choice back online to us. So even though we're in DEFCON 1, we can still take our breath, come back into the present moment, even look around the room and find one thing you're grateful for in that room. It doesn't have to be anything big. It could be, a gift somebody gave you that sits on your bookshelf. It could be anything, but find something that brings that gratitude back into the present moment. Because when we do that, it tells our nervous system, I can feel this and still stay present. That's the difference between drowning in emotion and just riding the wave. So I'm going to repeat that. Gratitude brings the choice back online to us. It tells the nervous system, I can feel this and stay present. That's the difference between drowning in emotion or just riding the wave. Gratitude doesn't shut grief down. It keeps us from being consumed by it. I know for me and losing someone type of grief, you know, the gratitude of the memories that I had stops that consumption of what I lost for me. I mean, everybody grieves differently. It may not necessarily be something along those lines, but still, you see how it can not shut it down, but to be able to stay in the present moment with the gratitude, to not allow all those negative thoughts. Well, I didn't do enough. I didn't, like I should have been there. I should have reached out more. I should, the shoulda, coulda, woulda, what ifs. All that the grief brings in, that gratitude stops it from consuming us. Okay? And then this is another exercise that kind of labeled the still here nervous system reset. So I'm going to give you guys a sentence with a fill in the blank. I'm going to ask that you complete 3 sentences by filling in that blank with this one sentence. Even though I am grieving, my body is still. Now, some examples could be breathing on its own. It showed up today. It's capable of resting. Anything along those lines of what we can be grateful for right now. So again, that sentence is, even though I am grieving, my body is still. And like I said, I want you to fill that blank in with 3 different things. Now the next sentence, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to write it as a declaration. So even though I'm grieving, I am still blank. So we went from the question. Or even though I'm grieving, my body is still. And then the second sentence was, even though I'm grieving, I am still. And while you're writing these, I want to see if you notice your shoulders drop, or you unclench your jaw, or your breath deepens. You feel like you can get a deeper breath and breathe easier as you write these declarations. Even though I am grieving, I am still here. I am still alive. I am still whatever. And if you do notice your shoulders drop just a tad, like they don't have to go fully relaxed, but you know what I mean? Like just a difference. If your shoulders drop, your jaw unclenched, or your breath deepened, that shift is your nervous system exiting the survival mode. Even if it's briefly, it's still re-regulating your nervous system to realize in the present moment we are safe. So if you're out somewhere, even though I'm out in this Walmart, I am still able to look for items. I am still able to provide whatever. You know what I mean? Like it can be on the moment, you know, in the moment type declaration. And then we're going to talk over in this section distraction to direction. So what if you packed it down so far that you no longer feel it? How do you recognize when it happens, when it feels normal? That's a good question. Sometimes we're so deep in our patterns that we don't see it. That one, that's really going to pertain to the person because everybody heals differently. But regulating the nervous system is rewiring everything to where your body is not triggering your emotions and your mind and everything else to possibly be able to start being aware of what it is that, you know, you've packed down so far. Yes, it is about intention. Absolutely. Yeah, it's not like let's grab the shovel and let's start digging this stuff out all at once. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. You'll get, you know, a handful of pebbles and throw them over the side. Well, then next thing you know, you can't see what it is, but they're shoveling your little pebble pile back into the hole with you. And then here you are, you're still digging and throwing dirt, and it's just, you know, coming right back into the hole on you. That's kind of like what healing's like. So yeah, it's not going to be a one and done, or, you know, I can see it and fix it first time. It's going to be the repetition. But learning when to regulate our nervous system is when we're going to be able to start seeing those patterns. Because if I can realize, oh God, I'm anxious, but I have no reason of, like, why am I anxious? Why do I feel this way right now? Because I'm not in danger. You know, you're aware of that. Therefore, you can start regulating. Then you start seeing your body doesn't start triggering with certain things. Therefore, it opens up to things, you know, being shown that you couldn't see before. Because if your body's not triggering the response that you're not safe, then it's like, oh man, well, before, you know, I'd always do this or react this way, or this would happen. I'd lose my shit, or, you know, whatever. But with the regulation, a lot of that will fall away. And then you're like, why am I doing this? Because you're not triggered, but yet it's that natural response. So we're going to talk about distraction to direction. How many of y'all get distracted out there or use distraction to not deal with something? Because I know all of you probably doom scroll at least once. Some point you've doom scrolled. You've binge watched, you know, a whole series on Netflix just because you didn't want to deal with it. So we're going to talk about how to turn that distraction into direction. Distraction keeps the nervous system busy. Direction gives it orientation. Okay, so remember we talked about you're reorienting your nervous system by being able to regulate it differently when there's no reason for it to be triggering because you're not in danger. May have been in the past in that situation, but you're not in danger today. So that direction gives it orientation. And gratitude provides that orientation. So that's how we can take the distraction where our nervous system is triggered all the time, keeping busy, keeping us in that anxiety, in that panic, in that depression, whatever, like whatever is triggering within your body to not feel safe. Gratitude provides that orientation for the redirection of distraction. It asks, what is stable enough for me to lean on today? That might be your breath, a routine, one safe person, or it could be your own resilience. If you want to build that, use that. But direction does not rush healing. It gently points the body towards safety. So integration equals... Oh, wait, no. Oh, no. Sorry. Wrong thing. So right now we're going to reflect quietly. So I'm going to ask a few questions. I'll give you a second to, think about them. So the first one's going to be, which survival response do I recognize the most? Which survival response do I recognize most? What does your nervous system trigger you into the most to kick you into survival mode, whether you're in danger or not? And the second one's going to be, what form of gratitude helped your body feel even 5% safer? So which survival response do I recognize most? And what form of gratitude helped your body feel even 5% safer? Was it the breath? Was it maybe, tapping your chest? Was it taking your shoes off and walking through grass? What was that 5% in the form of gratitude given to make your body feel safer? Now, this is not, we're not fixing, we're just noticing. And also, noticing is regulation. Just the same in the thinking pattern, awareness is our exit. Noticing is our regulation in our nervous system. Yes, being present is the biggest one, because being present, then we can say, okay, yeah, I'm out here at the grocery store, but it's not as packed as it could be. There's average amount of people, but not too busy. You know what I mean? But I should not be in this panic that I want to run and jump in my car and go home and not get any of my groceries. Or force yourself to push through it, get all of your groceries, get up to the front, and just leave your cart and walk out. I've done that before too. So noticing is that regulation. So being present, we start noticing more, and once we start noticing more, we can integrate that gratitude even more consistently to start helping regulate that nervous system. She said, it's while we don't have a lot of memories, we weren't present, we weren't safe, but you are safe now. Yes. That's why a lot of people can't remember, a lot of bad times, a lot of trauma times. We don't have memories of it because our subconscious and nervous system and everything else Said, nope, we're not safe. We're not keeping that. We're not going to remember that. We'll just tuck that back here in this back file and never see the light of day again. Like, never. So grief dysregulates the body, right? Because it throws in all these paradigms, the distraction, the dissuasion, the disdain, the DEFCON 1, the deficiency, all of it. It kicks in everything. So the grief dysregulates it. But if we're able to hold on to that gratitude, it reintroduces the safety, because then we're able to notice when we're triggered, but yet we're not in that situation anymore, and be able to start reprogramming the nervous system to say, hey, this is a new safe. Okay, so grief dysregulates, and gratitude introduces safety. This is not a weakness. It's a skill. Just like anything else that we practice in our healing journey, using the tools, using the crystals, using whatever it is that you use on your healing journey. You know, it could be a shadow workbook. It could be whatever. It's a skill that you build over time. The more you set it in place, just like anything else, the more you practice, the better you get. So do not think that you are broken if you're not able to see these things in this moment. But staying in the present moment and staying in gratitude is what's going to re-regulate your body. And once you re-regulate, your nervous system starts to adapt. So today, I want to remind you, I am still here. Thank you for choosing presence. I'm still here, and thank you for choosing presence. So if we get triggered or anything else, we bring ourselves to that present moment. I am still here, and thank you for choosing presence. Even if that's all you got, right? Even if that's all you got, and you don't even believe it. That's like looking in the mirror for the first time, talking to yourself, and you're like, I feel stupid. Why am I doing this? You know, but you do it over and over and over, and then finally it starts to click. You're like, man, I do believe what I'm saying to myself. Yeah, look in the mirror is not my favorite. But it's starting to be, because I see the benefits of it. Just as I see the benefits of trying to re-regulate my nervous system while going through the emotions of grief. Because we all know that slaps harder emotions than most things that we deal with. And it comes in all shapes, forms, and sizes. And everybody's different on dealing with it. But yeah, guys, do y'all have any questions? I think that's going to wrap it up. So again, those two sentences that I gave to y'all later. The first one was, even though I am grieving, my body is still. And then the gratitude portion declaration is, even though I am grieving, I am still blank. Remember, gratitude is not denial. It's a nervous system support. Yes, did you get the second one, Jen? So basically, it's the same beginning, even though I'm grieving. I am still blank. So do y'all have any questions, comments, feedbacks? These classes are being uploaded to the Authentic Life Collective on YouTube. Y'all can go back and rewatch those. Yes, Jen. There's a few of us that could use that. That's why I figured when Kitty talked about it on Monday, you know, using the gratitude of grief, on also not, you know, like letting us know that the gratitude helps kind of stabilize the grief, but also that just because we have those intense emotions or triggers that come with the grief, the gratitude helps it, but it's also being able to grieve and still move forward. You know, and I thought, well, what better way than to use the paradigms that we went over last week and how they interact with our mind, but instead go over how they interact with the nervous system and the triggers, and how the grief overwhelms as the gratitude comes in and was like, whoa, let's level this out. Let's balance it. So it doesn't consume, it doesn't tilt those scales all the time. Now, will it tilt? Yes. But we just add a little more gratitude in there and voila, you're balanced out again.